Imagine yourself floating, weightless, gliding above an aquatic metropolis full of color. Everywhere there's life. Colorful fish swim by. Sharks glide overhead, like planes searching for a meal. Snakes slither by underwater. A turtle just kind of cruises along. And beneath you is the coral, constantly swaying, all the anemones with their little tentacles just poking out and grabbing little fish. The clownfish, though, darting in and out. They don't mind the stingers. But now think about a time lapse. You're sitting there watching a time lapse photo occur, and all of this life just dies. The coral goes from being colorful to looking as described in by Remendesau, his Coral Reefs Under Assault article in America. It's a boneyard. That's how he described it, and it's very true. There is simply nothing left in what was once an abundant coral reef. Now, this is important to us because we all live on this earth, and every single ecosystem is important to that earth. Now, it's very simple to see that a coral reef, something spanning hundreds of miles, taking up thousands of square miles of our ocean space, is important. There are three main things I will talk about today. The first are the dangers to the coral reefs, the second are human uses of the coral reefs, and the third is the biodiversity of the reef itself. These reefs are incredibly important, in fact essential to the well-being of our planet, and we must be sure to try and keep them safe. Now, dangers to coral reefs, we may think, well, what can hurt these things? They're just underwater. I mean, we don't do anything to the water. They aren't part with the air. I mean, what's going on? Well, the first problem is coral bleaching. As I described, it becoming a boneyard. Now, this occurs mostly from global warming. See, coral reefs are very fragile, and what happens is that if sea temperatures rise or fall too greatly, or if sea levels rise too greatly, the algae called zooxanthelas, this type of algae that lives within the coral, they die. And if this algae dies, the coral dies. They have a very tight symbiotic relationship. And if the coral dies, then all of the fish that live off that coral die. And if all the fish that live off the coral die, then all the fish that eat the fish that eat the coral die. Essentially, if you drop one part of it, it's all going to go down. One of the second threats is that of harmful fishing practices. Fishermen right now use sodium cyanide, that's right, the poison, and they just dump it in the reef, and the fish rise to the top, and they just collect them that way. Another thing that they do is they drop sticks of dynamite into the water. This stuns the fish, and as the fish rise to the surface, they just pick them up with nets. Now this is destroying the biodiversity, and just destroying the reefs themselves. They're wiping out huge masses of fish. This is incredibly dangerous to the well-being of the reef. Now, at the rate at which coral reefs are dying, we very well may kill ourselves in the process. Global warming is one of the huge reasons why we must keep them around for human uses. See, these algae, they work out photosynthesis. They take carbon dioxide from the water, which is mixed and comes from the air, really, and they turn it into oxygen, which is then re-released. There is no bigger issue than global warming today. Everybody knows what it is, and everyone is looking for a solution, and coral reefs are part of that solution. Secondly, coral reefs create protected estuaries, wetlands, and they prevent erosion in coastal regions. If it weren't for coral reefs, we wouldn't have the eastern end of Australia. Also, people that live around coral reefs depend on them for food. There are many, many fish there, enough to support the people living by the coral reefs, but by overfishing, we are therefore destroying the reefs and the necessary food that the people need. Finally, there's also tourism. Coral reefs are huge tourist traps. They bring in millions and possibly billions of dollars each year, and if they are regulated correctly, and if the tourism is done correctly, then there's absolutely no reason why we should not be able to pull in large amounts of money and improve these reefs. Now, while we use the reefs for entertainment and for survival, they also have many other benefits. The biodiversity. Quickly, the benefits of biodiversity, the drug AZT, the popular AIDS drug, came from it. Came from coral reef fish. Also, new painkillers, thousands of times more powerful than morphine but non-addictive, are coming from coral reefs. And this was described in Patton's book, Colorful Captivating Coral Reefs. Now, with these groundbreaking discoveries, only make us wonder what else is out there. 4,000 types of fish, possibly millions more to be found. Now, I went over the dangers, the human uses, and the biodiversity, and it is obvious that coral reefs are critical to the well-being of the entire planet. Now just try to imagine a cure for Alzheimer's, for AIDS, for Parkinson's disease, a cure for cancer, and a cure for global warming could be swimming just underneath the water somewhere in the coral reef.